push record. All right, cool. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining our call tonight, or if you're listening to the playback, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to Brittany and I share a little bit about our stories. We're really excited to share with you. Um, Really quick, my name is Corey Mayo, and I have been a coach for 8 years. I am a wife to my husband, Paul. We've been married for 11 years, and we have two little boys. Keyston is 10, and Beckett is 7.5. So we live a very busy lifestyle with both of them, and they both play hockey. So we are gearing up for like craziness with hockey season. So that's a little bit about me. And before I kind of dive into my story and kind of our chat tonight, I wanted to mention that I think it's super important that you understand that Brittany and I didn't start where we are right now. We didn't just decide to become a coach or just decide to grow this business or make these changes and then they just happened. It didn't just happen overnight. We all have to go on our own journey and overcome certain things through this path. And we all have our own starting point. So I think that that's super important, that you might relate to bits and pieces of my story and you might relate to bits and pieces of Brittany's story. But it doesn't have to be a perfect match for this to work for you. Okay. So my journey actually started 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago. It was January of 2012. And I was 205 pounds. I was a newer mom. Keyston was almost 18 months old, and I just found myself really unhappy. I didn't know who I was. Like, I was a wife and I was a mom, and we had a really good life, but I didn't feel happy. And I didn't feel like I knew who I was anymore or what I wanted in life. I felt really lost. And so I started putting on a lot of weight, and I had always kind of struggled with my weight growing up. I was never super skinny or fit. I was active. I played sports and I showed horses my entire life. So I've always been active, but I've never been what you would consider fit or that I felt confident in my own skin. That's probably a better way to say it. I never really felt good in my own skin. So I did all the diets and all the things where you do that roller coaster ride for pretty much my entire life, like starting in high school and then up. And things would work for a period of time until they didn't work anymore, right? It would work for maybe a couple weeks, a couple months, and then I would slide back into normal routine or being comfortable because nothing really ever changed or what I was doing wasn't sustainable long term until I found Beachbody, until I was introduced to Beachbody and the community that it brings. And what was the big game changer for me is that one, I was able to do the workout at home after my son went to bed. I was not a morning person, so keep that in mind, because I was the snooze until 7:30, 7:45, unless he woke me up earlier than that, every single day. Okay. So I was not a morning person. And I would tell you that. So my husband and I would go downstairs in our basement. We would push play to P90X and work out with good old Tony Horton for an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the workout, every night after Keystone went to bed. And you guys, it was tough. It was so tough. And there were days that we were tired, but we pushed each other to step outside of our comfort zone because we knew that this was an opportunity for us to make change. So we started showing up every single day. And the big part of me continuing to show up every single day, especially in the beginning and now 8 years later, is having the community that a challenge group and coaching brings. I didn't sign up to be a coach until I was about 5 months into my journey, so May of 2012. But the community of other women that were actually in my corner, like they weren't judging me or making me feel like I didn't fit in. They were there rooting for me. They were there saying, good job, you got your workout in. even if I had to modify, even if I had to jog in place because plyometrics was killing me, even if I had to put the weights down or I was on my knees and only did one push-up, it didn't matter. They were cheering for me because I was showing up for myself. And I was cheering for them because they were doing something for themselves too. So having that love and support just to keep taking a step forward. It's not going to be one giant leap. I know we all want that, whether it's in our wellness journey or in growing a business. We want to, like, what's the secret that we can just take this giant leap and be to all of our goals and dreams, right? Life doesn't work that way. And it wouldn't be worth it. We wouldn't appreciate it if we just landed there, right? It's who we're becoming along the way that makes it so much more worth taking those steps forward every single day. We learn to appreciate, we grow, and we become that person that can appreciate and love the things that we are receiving when we get there. Okay. So having the community was huge, and it it kept me going. And for as sad, as unhappy, as lost as I felt then, and now experiencing where I am now, it fills my heart that I get to help other moms feel that. I get to empower them to just keep going. I know it's hard. I know the baby keeps you up. I know that that ice cream is talking to you, but I promise you it will be so worth it. And the joy that you get from paying that forward to those around you, and just to plant that seed of belief in those around you when you're already experiencing it, is one of the greatest things that I have ever experienced. And that's why I love coaching. And it is why that the girl who hit snooze until 7:30, 7:45 every single day of her life for forever, okay, wakes up at 3:55 a.m. Monday through Friday with my girl Mindy, who's got her glasses on and is in bed because she's like, girl, that alarm clock's going to be going off soon. It is why I get up and I hustle, because I know how hard it is to not feel like you're worthy, like you don't have a place, and like you're lost. And I also know how freaking good it feels to have a friend who's asking how you are and to be there for you, because everybody asks how the family is, how are things going, and it's just kind of a question. But to really have somebody who intentionally is reaching out and asking, how are you? Not the kids, not life, not the house. How are you? Okay. So remember that. We don't just start here where I am now, because it's taken me a really long time to get to that 3:55 a.m. I promise you that. So, the other thing that I really love about what we do as coaches and what this community and Beachbody in general brings, one of the habits that they really, really push is personal development. You guys, I am far from the person, not just physically, but emotionally, and the way that I go about life is totally different than it was 8 years ago. And that's because Beachbody pushes and encourages us to do personal development, invest in yourself. What we put in here is just as important, if not more important, than what we're putting in our mouth and we're feeding ourselves. Everything starts here, building that belief, okay? Speaking kindly to yourself. It is so easy to look in the mirror and tear ourselves down. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and pointed out how beautiful you are, your attributes, how kind you are, all the things that you have to offer? Because every single person here has something to offer. We are all here for a reason. But we get lost amongst all the other things that are being fed into our mind with social media and the news and all the things that are being thrown at us. The fact that most of us are moms and we're taking care of everybody else first, you don't have the energy to fill yourself up first. But I'm speaking from experience, and I'm sure that Britt would agree that you have to fill yourself up. You can't be your best. You can't be your best for your kids. You can't be your best for your husband or your spouse or your family if you're not taking care of you first. And that starts with personal development, having gratitude, daily affirmations to speak kindly to yourself and empower the positivity in your life, to have those, appreciate all those little things, all those little joyful things in life, right? To take that few minutes in the morning and learn to appreciate or see all the good things in your life, because there are good things. I promise you that. So, I know that a lot of times we go into this, or we think that Beachbody, especially because of the name, is really focused on just nutrition and just fitness and having rocking abs and a tight booty and some biceps when you flex. But it is so much more than that. It is about linking arms with your best friends. It is about being empowered by other women and helping other women feel that too. It is about being kind to yourself and spreading more light, more than ever right now, spreading more light and love in the world, you guys. So I am super blessed that because of this opportunity, that I got to meet Britt several years ago. And at first I just kind of met her from a distance. I knew who she was because she's been super successful in her business. She is a shining star. If you follow her and you're here because of her, you already know that. Not gonna cry. But we are now super, super close and text often. And my son had a hockey tournament in Grand Rapids, which is really close to where she lives. And she made it a point to come to our hotel and crash the lobby with the hockey team and hang out for a bit. And then we took the boys after a hockey game and we went and spent the day with her family at her home, and we went to dinner. And then the next day they came and watched his championship game. Like, you guys, this is so much more. And there's so much love in this community of people. And I'm so grateful that I get to call Brittany one of my best friends, and she's somebody that I get to do this life with and get to work with on a daily basis. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Britt, and let you wrap it up, girlfriend.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know if I need to go. Now I'm kind of like all over the place with my thoughts. But I think our stories tie in so well with where our journey started and where we both are today. And not just our fitness, not in just our health, but in our mindset and in the way we want to raise our family. And as Corey was sharing, like, how cool it was for them to come up and hang around with us for the weekend. It just made me think, like, because this is a big theme for me, and I'll get to why I started in a minute, but this is for my kids. This is for a better life for them and to provide them opportunity. And I'm a big believer that we are presented with different opportunities through the people that we meet. And I want them to have good people in their life. So if they ever want to take on hockey, we have friends that we can call and they can give me all the tips and inside out of all of that, or horses and all of these different interests that I cannot give them, that I have a connection to, that they have someone they know and trust and love, and that I know has good morals and values and our way of life and living align to surround my kids with that. So I started coaching about 7 years ago. I was a new mom to twins. They were, I think, like 3.5, 4 months old when I started. And I'd always been into fitness. My drive to get into weight training and like different kinds of cardio than running was because I struggled so much with my body confidence and my body image issues. And so I just said, peace out food, I'll go run 10 miles or whatever. So I would not eat, and then I'd go run and run and run and run. And it got to a point where I was like, it was actually my now husband, was like, I can't live my life this way. Like, I need to be able to go and enjoy a cheeseburger with the girl that I'm dating. And I want to go do all this stuff. And it was then and there that I was like, all right, I'm ready to make some changes. And so I went through the steps to kind of get around some people that could lift me up. And it was during that season of shifting my mindset and my habits that I really fell in love with weight training and ended up going to school for health and fitness instruction and making that my career. So after I had the twins, the plan was to go back to teaching classes or training clients part-time in the morning, afternoon, all that kind of stuff. But if you're a mom, you quickly realize that your schedule is no longer your own. And I was a little naive in that thinking. And we were in Florida. We had no family. We didn't know anyone. I was the first person down there that I knew that had kids. So I was in just this whirlwind of a situation. My husband traveled for work. So about 3 months in, I just felt super unfulfilled. And I don't mean that in any disrespect to motherhood. I now have 4 kids. They are my light. They are my crazy. They are the driving force for so many things. But there was just this hole. There was this missing piece of being a part of something. From community to a team. And the more I dive in and dig into this, to be a part of someone's journey, to be a part of their success, to be a part of instilling belief and confidence in them, because that was the piece I loved at the gym. And that was the piece that I loved. It wasn't about them losing 5 pounds. If they lost 5 pounds, it was like, yeah, you did it. It wasn't necessarily you're skinnier. It was you did something you never thought you could do. It was holding a plank for a minute, running on the treadmill for a mile, or whatever. Being there to cheer them on and coach them through that milestone filled my heart with so much joy. It was just, it's ingrained in me, I guess. And so I had said no to this opportunity for 2 years. My upline, who reached out to me in 2011, I was a hard no. I ignored her messages. And I was just like, I am not doing sales. Like, that is not me. I am not being that girl to bring 3 friends to a party. And I just ignored her for 2 years. And then after starting my journey and just, I was doing Insanity that we had bought on Amazon, I just reached out to her and I said, okay, what are you doing? Because I'm missing something. And I see you sharing your sweaty selfies and sharing your nutrition tips and sharing your journey. And you also just went to Disney World, and you also just quit your job before you barely even started to do this full time. How do I do this? And as soon as I realized what this was about and what an actual coach meant, I was all in. And I have been all in through every ebb and flow of my life, cross-country moves, house moves. I've had 2 more kids. Yeah, that didn't even make Corey chuckle. She knows. I've had 2 more children. And life has just really been completely different than I ever expected my life to look like. So fast forward, I look at the 4 vitals as a coach and what the habits that I have adapted, the routines, the lifestyle, the person that I've become, I owe to coaching. And I believe that God can use different ways to change us and break us and make us and mold us. And for me, it was coaching. I would not be who I am today without going through these steps, without going through these habits and making them consistent. And I think one of the coolest parts about coaching is that you can focus on a few of these at a time and layer them on. And we call it kind of habit stacking, where you start with your fitness, then start adding in and nailing down your nutrition. Then let's get comfortable talking to people and owning your journey and believing in the accomplishment that you just did, whether it was completing a program or losing 10 pounds. And then let's build even more belief that you start to believe in yourself on a whole different level that you've never encountered before. And that's my next step. So for fitness, I joined for accountability. I wanted someone to tell me what to do. I was busy. I had 2 kids. I was exclusively pumping for them. Beachbody was appealing because it was consistent. It was keeping me accountable in the challenge group, crossing off the checklist on the calendar and making sure there were no missed X's. And it kept the variety there. So I never felt bored, and it was always, always available. I just had to choose to make the time. As nutrition, Beachbody, I don't know how long, if you've been following the company for a long time, but before we had no nutrition. They would come with, some meal plans and recipes 7 years ago even. And now we have full-blown nutrition programs that really break it down. Depending on your personality, we can pair that. And so nutrition piece has just learned and evolved over the last 7 years. And I'm sure Corey can agree that the longer you get in this, the more comfortable you become in these nutrition programs and living them out. And then community. It was when I joined, my coach was not married, no kids. And so I was like, I love her. I've been following her. She is successful. And that's why I chose her. But I need to build my own community of moms. I need to break out of my introverted bubble and create a community that could help me and I could help them. I could talk to them about how I was able to nurse the twins and still lose my baby weight, right? Like that was a common theme. That was my life. Half of my team and a ton of my clients come from that season of life. But I decided if I'm going to do this fitness journey, if I'm going to work on making me the healthiest me, I might as well try and inspire and fill that void of being a part of somebody else's journey and invite others to go along this with me. So I started to create my own community. I started to create my own challenge groups. I started to invite my friends and family that were around me, that maybe not were pregnant or nursing or any of that, but I still invited them. And then I started to create groups for just moms and coaching them and mentoring them in this season of life with the tools that I had. And it wasn't my expertise. It was my experience and what I decided and what I trial and errored that I found worked for me, that I could just now, you don't have to go through all of that. This is what worked for me. Let's start here. And if this doesn't work, then we can try and that's still my favorite thing as we do as a coach. I'm going to share what has worked for me in this season or in this situation. Try it, see if it works. We can tweak it and make sure that we're finding tools and a routine and habits that serve you and fit your lifestyle. So they became my people, my friends, my community, that it wasn't just about fitness. It started to become about how do we handle this situation with my kids, or I'm having a really hard day emotionally. How can you help me? How can we just cheer each other on? And it just to this day is, like we were saying, like you just text, like they're your best friends. We all text. I have some of my best friends that live right down the road, like 2 minutes. And yes, I see them more frequently, but I'm sending them similar text messages that I send my Beachbody friends. And so as I shared, people asked, they watched, and they came in and joined me. And today they're my people. They are my community. And I will say, as you go through this journey, you're going to influence people in different stages of your journey, because I'm obviously not nursing or pregnant now, but I can still speak to the audience and share my experience. And now I can speak to the mom that has 4 kids running around all of the activities and how I'm making this fitness and this lifestyle work for me. So as I built the community, as I was having people go on this journey with me, this is the piece that I don't want to say makes me stay, but it makes it really hard to leave, because I'm a part of their journey. I'm there to mentor them and to be a part of them. I am there. We call it recognition. I like to call it celebration. I like to celebrate them when they complete a program, when they drink their Shakeology for 30 days in a row, or become a 365er, or when they have been pushing snooze all week long, but on Friday morning, they finally get up at 5 a.m. I like to be a part of that, to celebrate them and change their mindset to say, I only woke up on Friday, to say, hey, 1 out of 5 ain't bad. Like I did it, and I'm going to do it again tomorrow. And I'm going to remind them that they did it once, they can do it again. And it made me feel so good to be a part of a company, to be a part of a mission that wasn't just about people, celebrating people, but it was about helping them live their healthiest and best and most fulfilling life. And as a mom, I've learned, and hopefully my clients have learned and my followers have learned, that when we are our best selves as moms and wives, our families get the best of us. And that is becoming more and more apparent as my kids get older and their eating choices are becoming less and less, they're influenced by me and what I'm eating, and putting that out there so that they know carrots are going in their lunch. That's it's non-negotiable. Like things are happening that way. But through that, I get to help those other households, and we get to set the trend differently for our kids. And Julie Boris is one of a mentor of ours, and I just love it because she has that mindset. We get to become different moms, and by us becoming different moms than what society tells us to be, our children get to be different children, and their children are going to live a different life, and their children are going to live a different life. But it starts with us right now, taking care of ourselves. And if you're not married and you don't have kids, start working on yourself now so that you have these habits and not have the chaos running around you, and that you are strong in your lifestyle that you are, and you will find someone that has those same strong core beliefs, because it's going to make it a lot easier down the line. So I'm just gonna make sure I'm on track. So it made me feel good to be a part of that and to be a part of their family and see the influence beyond my four walls by what's going on in my four walls, if that makes sense. So what is going on in here? I get to help people with the same situations out there. And personal development, Corey touched on this, you guys, and this was the last piece that I added into my journey. And I wish and I hope that my coaches make this the first thing that they put in their journey, as a business, as a client, whatever, because this is the piece that is the greatest tool to unlock the belief of who you are. And I wrote this down, and the reason I was hesitant to do personal development is because you often hear the term self-help, and that doesn't sound fun. That no one wants to read self-help books. I don't need help. I'm fine. That was my attitude. I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm fine. But what if we were made to be more than fine? What if our life was meant to be good? What if our life was meant to be abundant? What if our life was meant to be great and amazing and influential and inspirational and motivating instead of just fine? Because life was fine when I started as a coach. I had 2 healthy, beautiful babies. We lived in our dream Florida house, and Matt had an amazing job that allowed me to stay home. But I knew deep down that I wasn't meant for fine. And I'm getting choked up because I'm in that same place where I'm like, you know what? Life is fine right here. I have 4 beautiful kids. I have a thriving business that I'm able to manage great, but I'm still discontent. And it's not coming from a place of selfishness. And I'm trying to work through that. It's coming from a place that I know I was made for something more. And that's not selfish, because what I have in here is going to help someone out there. And if I don't do that, if you don't take that little nudge, that little call, it is kind of selfish, because you're doing it out of fear of being uncomfortable, of having to sacrifice something. But there's somebody else that needs you to take that step, because there's something else they were supposed to do. It is not about self-help. It is about self-discovery and discovering your strengths and your weaknesses and how to use them and how to meet people who know how to overcome those weaknesses. Our strength, me and Corey's strength, is planning and time blocking, and we are productive people. But not everyone's like that. But let us help you with that. Let us mentor you with that. That's why, like, I'm not good at trainings. I'm not good at, like, hey, do this 1, 2, 3 steps. Like, this is how. I'm not good at that. I'm good at this. I'll try my best to get on and do a motivational call and share my story, but I don't know how to do a lot of filters on a photo, right? So you find your strengths and you find your weaknesses, and then you meet other people to complement each other. It is not about self-help. It's about discovering who you are, where you are meant to go, and how to get there. And those books really do work, and they really can help you take you from the place where you are to the place of abundance and growth and great, instead of just living a fine life. Life was fine. I shouldn't have complained. I could have been content, but I wasn't. And I'm so thankful that I wasn't. I'm so thankful that I just said, what if? And now 7 years later, I'm saying, what if again? I got us here. I got our team here. I got my family here. I got me here. Now I need to unlock living fine here and go to that next piece, that next step that I know God has for me. You can live a fine life, or you can make the decision to live your best full life, feeling your best and doing your best and providing your kids with opportunities that you might otherwise have to say no to, or your family, or yourself. There's one thing I was talking about, and on this, I was talking to a mentor yesterday, and I said, I don't see myself as, when you join our team, you'll hear her name, Melanie Mitro. I don't see myself as owning this huge, massive business and a podcast and a planner and all this stuff and a keynote speaker. And then as soon as I finished that sentence, I said, but I don't think stay-at-home of two Melanie saw herself like that either. And I look at that girl now, that woman, and she is a force to be reckoned with when she sets her mind to something. Like, do we want to say that's not me? Or do we want to take some steps to say, what am I capable of? What could happen? And I'm going to try, and I'm going to see, and we're going to go from there. Because that's what this journey has meant for me. It has meant growth and self-discovery and building confidence in places that I've never been confident. I always joke that I'm not the woman that Matt married. And I joke about that, but I'm also incredibly proud of that. Because if I was that same girl 10 years ago, what was I doing for the last 10 years of my life? We were meant to grow. We are meant to grow into people that God has us to be and to step into a bigger purpose beyond ourselves. And I believe that coaching, like it's been the vehicle for Corey and I, could be that vehicle for you if you just give it a chance. So I'm going to close this out tonight. And I just want you to just have an open mindset, have a growth mindset, and just ask yourself, what if? And instead of going, what if I fail? I want you to think about the other side of that question and say, what if I'm successful? What if life is different? What if I lose 50 pounds? What if I can go on every amusement ride with my kid? What if I can send them to that hockey camp? What if I can hire a babysitter for date night so I can revive my marriage one time a week? What if I can go to the salon and get my hair done and walk out feeling like $1 million and not have to think twice about making sure that there's enough money in the bank account, or checking with my husband to see, are we good? Are we bad? Like, can I do this? What if you just lived this great life full of abundance instead of just being fine and settling, even though life's great or fine, even though life's not bad from the outside looking in? Like, no one should think you could complain, but we shouldn't want to just live a fine life. And so I encourage you to have that growth mindset, to think about what if you could live a great life. So if something spoke in my story today or Corey's story tonight with you, we just encourage you to reach out to the coach that invited you to this call, and ask them for next steps. Ask them how you need to get started, because each of you is going to get started differently. So we want to make sure that you have the best personal package set up for success for you to kick off your business, because that's super, super important, that you feel comfortable, that you feel ready, and it's the right time for you. So if you have questions about our stories or about anything, you can Facebook message us. I'm sure I'm speaking for Corey on this one, but you can Facebook message us or the coach that invited you to this call so that we can get those questions answered for you. We appreciate your time tonight. And if you listen to the recording, we appreciate that time as well.